Hi there guys, and welcome to episode 8 of Think Tank. It's a show that's a mouthful of rugby that doesn't chew too much bandwidth. I'm Zelim now with Tank Lanning. Tank, bit of a controversial try there by the Cheetahs on the weekend at the maul, looked like a forward pass.
Controversial. I mean, I'm so surprised that it hasn't been picked up more. It was out of control. Boom went up, took the ball. There was a definite pass back to Brousseau. Suddenly realised the Chiefs hadn't engaged. Oopsie, ball back to Boom, runs through, scores a try. But it just gets me onto a point which is irritating me to death. I think, there's a couple of things that are irritating me about the game, but this legalised obstruction that is the driving maul is something to behold. And I literally do think it is legalised obstruction. I mean, basically the player comes down, he's allowed to run to the back of the maul. They don't even pass it these days. And you get a Stegman or a Brousseau at the back with 6-7 players in front of them, obstructing. I mean, and you're not allowed to bring it down.
Right.
So how can it be part of the game?
Yeah. Well, I mean, how do you get rid of it? Because in general play, obviously, if a ball carrier is held up and players join into that sort of fracas, you're going to have a maul evolve from that. So how do you get around it?
Yeah, look, and obviously the maul and the ruck you need to keep in the game 100%. But there's a couple of things that we could do. One is that you're not allowed the player to run to the back of it, so you actually include some sort of skill. So you make the teams have to pass the ball back. Because when I played, I mean, you weren't allowed to do that though. So you had to pass the ball to the back. So at least let's bring that skill back in. And then what's wrong with collapsing a maul? If you're going to allow people to obstruct, then you've got to allow the defending team to have a chance at getting at the ball. So perhaps allow dropping of the maul.
I suppose the consequence of this juggernaut maul that seems to be a feature of South African rugby is that opposing teams aren't actually contesting it anymore. They're choosing to just stand off like the Chiefs did.
And that's for me is a worry. It's happening at the breakdown. Even you just take a kickoff and people don't engage because then you don't have an offside line. And then you've got Ben Tameifuna,
right.
Just because he's allowed to just break the passage between the scrum off and the fly off. So I think we're getting to that situation where it's fairly farcical, is my take on things, where you're not engaging so as to stop people from doing silly things that the rules are allowing in the game these days.
Do you not think that maybe just some application of the law by the referee, some sort of stickiness on the laws might fix it? I mean, the whole thing about binding with your hand and not your shoulder, which you see often at maul time now, creates that separation. If guys had to keep their shoulders plugged in, it might change the shape of that whole mauling game.
Yeah, look, I think they're trying a few little things like, the use it or lose it is meant to, so you can't wait forever and then get a sort of a 2-3 shove going. So, and I see they played that a little bit more this weekend, but so bring that back and use it more effectively. But yeah, I just think it's, it's something that, it's not something that you want to evolve into something better. We need to stop it.
Yeah.
Obstruction is not part of the game. It's the same as, when you go take a guy who's taking a kick in, and you're not allowed to have the player in front of him. How come now in a maul you're suddenly allowed to have a whole lot of players in front of you?
Obviously, it's a massive feature of South African rugby. Specifically, the Bulls are famous for it. They gave the Crusaders a nice snort clap on the weekend. Are the Bulls back to their best in Super Rugby?
It was a good game of rugby because, the game before was turgid. It was, the Sharks were horrific. Look, I think the common factor there is because the Bulls were also horrible last weekend, is perhaps the force. I think they're, kind of an understrength side and they just try to play negative rugby. So perhaps that's the factor.
Right.
But the Bulls, my word, Birger Oudendal, hell of an impression on the game.
Yeah.
Surfontaine, I think he sort of had those skills as a lighty. It's now been coached out of him. And I just hope that the Bulls don't do the same to Oudendal because he looked like he was running at space, looking to offload. It brought an exciting edge to the game.
Right. South African teams have to rest those Springboks as per the SARU policy. The Stormers really struggled without Dwayne Vermeulen this past weekend. The Bulls have got quite a few Springboks in their lineup. How do you see that changing their momentum in this competition?
Yeah, I suppose it's when you do it. But, if you go back to poor old Victor Matfield, I know we've spoken about him a few times on the show, but it looks like he's regressed to what he was in week 1 and 2. He was almost ineffectual. And you're right about those Boks being rested, but it's the same as the All Blacks are also resting their players. They just seem to unearth new talent, and you just hope that it'll be the same in South Africa, but probably not, sadly.
Yeah. So, Tank, that win against the Crusaders will mean nothing if the Bulls lose against the Lions at Ellis Park this week. Obviously, the Lions just had a record-setting 3-win tour. How do you see that shaping up on the Highveld?
Yeah, those Lions, unbelievable. And I must say, Johan Ackerman, take a bow. I do think, though, that they haven't played the real big guns yet. And while they deserve all the accolades that come their way on a great tour, I think they might come unstuck. At home, they will have travelled, Bulls on a high, now potentially sort of contenders, and I think they'll probably come a little bit unstuck.
Should be interesting. That's it for this week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please be sure to check out vodacom.co/rugby. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night till next time. Ciao.